Imagine a reality where you were fully tapped into your divinity. What would that look like for you? In a world where we are manipulated into surrendering our power and authenticity, there are those of us who actively heal and work our magic to help others step into their highest versions. My name is KaSandra. I am the witch, spiritualist, founder, creator, and poet of Magic of Eden. My mission and purpose is to fearlessly share my magic, art, and wisdom to help others reclaim their divinity through poetry and ritual magic. On my podcast, I'll provide tarot readings, reveal prophetic messages and visions, share my astrological insights, discuss and perform my poetry. I'll also feature other creatives to ensure an infinite space of love, healing, and world unity. Greetings and infinite abundance of peace, love, tranquility, health, and wealth to you all Eden family. I am so glad to have you guys back on the Magic of Eden podcast. For those of you guys that are new here, my name is Cass the Witch. I am the witch, the spiritualist, the founder and creator of Magic of Eden. It is always good to be in good love and have vibes and in good spirit with everyone here as we share this amazing moment with each other and dive into the downloaded messages that I have received for this new moon happening in Virgo on September 14th at 9:40 p.m. And the first thing that I want to say is that, first and foremost, I do have kids. For those of y'all that don't know, so y'all might hear some background noise. We're going to get through this podcast. That's the first thing that I want to say. Now, the second thing that I want to say is that we have been having a very interesting year, and the energy has been just up and down, round and around, in and out, and it has just been a doozy in some cases. We've had lots of blessings and what we believe to be setbacks and things of that nature, and I just want to say I am so proud of y'all for sticking out this energy. It has been intense with all of these planets in retrograde, and somebody get me a drink. I'm just kidding. I don't drink. But anyways, so yes, I again just want to say that I am super proud of everyone. I'm glad that we are all still here, that we are hanging on. And I just want to go ahead and just dive right into this podcast. So anyways, enough of that chit chat. Let's go ahead and dive into this. Now, to start off this podcast, I also want to mention that we currently have, I believe, 6 or 7 planets in retrograde. Now, the ones that we actually do have in retrograde, technically, that are considered planets are Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, Mercury, Uranus, and Jupiter. And then Chiron is also in retrograde. Although Chiron is technically an asteroid, we still are counting this as one of the 7 planets that are currently in retrograde. Venus actually went direct, I believe, on September 3rd, actually. Now, I want to kind of give you guys the dates real quick. So, for Pluto, he will be stationing direct October 11th, and that is of this year. Neptune will be stationing direct December the 6th of this year. Saturn will station direct November 4th of this year. Chiron will station direct December 26th. Shout out to my son's birthday this year. And Mercury will be stationing direct on the 15th of September. And of course, we do have that post-shadow Mercury retrograde period, and then we also have Uranus, which will actually be going direct January 27th of next year, and then Jupiter will be going direct December 31st of this year. And let me just say that when you take a moment to look at everything that has happened by far, that everything that has happened up until this point, this year alone, it has been wild. And I have just been observing and doing my best to get through life. It has definitely been something. And I'm not going to share my personal deets right now. I may do so on another podcast and all those other things. But I kind of want to focus on this energy now. So, one of the key things that I want to start with is the fact that Jupiter is retrograde. Now, one of the things that I want to say is that, for one, Jupiter is the planet of abundance, but he's also the planet of wisdom and higher learning and higher education and things of that nature, right? He is one of the spiritual teachers of the planets. apart from Saturn, right? Because yes, Saturn is 100% a spiritual teacher. Saturn teaches us through boundaries, restriction, and the harshest lessons that help us withstand the test of time and things of that nature. And then of course Jupiter teaches us through compassion, love, and infinite wisdom that we have the ability to channel within ourselves, right? So anyways, moving forward, Jupiter is not only known as, again, the planet that brings us money and luck and things of that nature. Again, Jupiter reminds us and teaches us that it is through our experiences that we have the ability and the capacity to learn different lessons should we choose to tap into divine compassion. Compassion for yourself, compassion for your neighbors, compassion for the ant that walks on your concrete every day, right? Compassion for every single being on the planet to rise and transcend beyond our pain and suffering. So, having said that, I want to take a moment to say that during this time, one of the downloads that I received about this Jupiter retrograde, to be exact, is that right now we are at a pivotal moment in human history where we are challenged to come together in order to reclaim our world together, but to also become the masters of our own personal realities, right? And if you take a moment to look at everything that happened, from the start of COVID to now, there was a major separation. If you catch my drift, if you know, right? We had lots of fights between, people who decided to get the shot and people who decided not to. People were blaming those who decided that they were not going to get, vaccinated and things like that. They were alienated and they were made to feel it as if they were the problem and things of that nature. Your vaccination status started to become a part of your identity, and so many different elements that these powers that be use to divide humanity. And now, ever since Pluto went retrograde in the sign of Aquarius, let me tell you that everything that we believe was a conspiracy has been proven fact. Everything that was swept under the rug has been proven as a fact, has been coming out. And when you take a moment to look at all that, everything is happening not to humanity, but for us in order to help bring us all together. And at this time, what Spirit is telling me to tell you guys is that we have the ability to not only observe everything that has happened and revisit the past, but apply the knowledge and the wisdom that we have experience and that we've gained and apply it now into our current realities in order to help us become back into alignment and reach our divinity, and also continue on with our own personal missions as we collectively break free from the illusion of separation. Moving forward, right now, the fact that Jupiter is in retrograde, one of the messages that I want to give to you all is that Jupiter is reminding us that we are the gurus, the sages, the wise ones of our own lives. And it is okay for us to open up our minds to other sources of wisdom. That way we can not only expand our consciousness, but to bring about this sense of togetherness in the world. And I feel that this is important because right now we're at a time where we have all of these different planets in retrograde. We're retracing our steps and things of that nature. We're figuring out, what did I do? What could I have done differently? What can I do better now? And again, one of those things that we all can benefit from is allowing ourselves to connect with each other, dive into the depths and the heights of each other's minds. That way we can understand and uncover and rediscover the traces of the universe that we lost when we spiraled down to earth. And that is just simply the vibe. It's allowing yourself to tap into these different elements of wisdom, right? There's so much wisdom in the way that the flowers flow in the wind. There is wisdom in a child's play when they are playing with their ball. There is wisdom when a child splashes in the bathtub. There is wisdom when a bird leaps and takes flight, right? There's so many different elements of wisdom. And if we allow ourselves to connect with each other, we can then pick wisdom from so many different people from different walks of life. And this actually benefits us and is actually a blessing, because we are allowing ourselves to not only reconnect, but to figure out and understand and even accept the fact that we are all just simply trying to go home. We are simply walking each other home. There's so many different ways to bake a cake. And at the end of the day, we are called to simply enjoy the process and enjoy the journey, because the destination will be altered depending on what we are doing right now in this moment. Spirit is also asking us to revisit and go back to our journal entries and the things that we wrote down and the things that we recorded throughout these past few years, to see the changes that have occurred and to pick up and apply the wisdom that is needed in order to help us to continue to navigate through these retrogrades. Furthermore, I do feel that we are being called to allow ourselves to tap into compassion even when we feel that people do not deserve it. And we are also being called to understand that there are moments where we may not believe compassion is needed. However, being soft and allowing ourselves to show compassion anyway may help to not only change your own life but the lives of others. For example, let's just say someone is venting to you about something and you feel, you know what, this person is always venting about this. Why are they always saying this? They should just get their stuff together, right? So Spirit is saying, instead of saying that or coming off and telling a harsh truth, maybe use compassion and say, I can see that you're going through this hard time right now. I can see that you are repeating these habits. What do you feel is within you that is making you repeat these habits? Or why do you feel that you should continuously do it this way? Do you feel that you're lacking something? What's going on? Talk to me about that. And you using that can not only let the person know that you are listening to them and that you are showing compassion and empathy, but you also allow them the time to really go back and reassess their own behaviors. And because you show compassion, you are able to help them tap into their ability to think and analyze their own behaviors. This is the reason why Spirit says that compassion does go a long way. Now, I want to maneuver on to the new moon in Virgo that was mentioned at the very beginning of this podcast episode, right? Now, new moons in general are normally very quiet. They are very passive. They're not as loud or in your face as full moons, right? They are very reflective, and they are a time where we take a moment to reflect on the things that have come to pass, and we, at that time of new moons, plant new seeds to see how could we do things differently and what do I want to see manifest over the course of time. New moons are times where we dive into our internal world, and the significance of this Virgo new moon is the fact that, first and foremost, Virgo is the sign that is notoriously known for its attention to detail and its ability to perfect everything that it touches, and also looking for the issues and fixing those things. Virgo is the sign that is of service to everyone, of service to itself, and of service to the collective. Virgo, the earth sign, is also the medicine man of the zodiac. Furthermore, looking at the chart, I do see here that there is actually a beautiful trine sitting in Earth. Now, whenever you see a trine or a grand trine, that basically means that three planets are within 120 degrees of each other and they all share the same element. For example, you have Pluto, who's retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, trining the sun and moon, who's in Virgo. You also have Jupiter, who's sitting in Taurus, who's trining Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. And then you also have Jupiter, who's trining the sun and moon, who's sitting in the sign of Virgo. So here you see that you have all of these different planets in the same element harmoniously working together in order to help set the tone for the rest of our lives. Now, when you look at this grand trine, what this tells me, well, when I'm looking at the grand trine, what this tells me is that a lot of people may find at the time of the new moon that not only do they want to plant seeds, but they're really coming into the realization that they really want to focus more on the things that are actually going to serve them and things that are worth devoting their energy to. You have Capricorn here saying, look, this is what I know will withstand the test of time. This is the foundation that I need to set for not only myself, but for also future generations. This is what I've learned along the way, and this is what I'm going to do to allow myself to rebuild this foundation. And then you have Taurus coming in saying, okay, this foundation is sturdy. security. Let me go ahead and do the necessary work required in order to bring myself this element of stability and comfort and security that is fulfilling, not only physically but also spiritually. And then you also have Virgo here who's saying, look, this is what is worth devoting my time and my energy to. This is how I can become more efficient in order to do what I need to do to get to that goal. And not only that, this is how I can upkeep the health of my body to even make sure that I have the capacity to even sustain myself along this journey of building. This is what I can alter or do in my day-to-day life, my day-to-day rituals to assure that I am constantly pacing in alignment and walking in my truth. This is how I can plan to set myself up for success. And that is the power of this trine here at the time of the new moon. Now, one thing that I also want to say is that having this grand trine here definitely does allow us an opportunity to take a more practical and intuitive approach. I do see for some people that they find themselves at a space of ease and groundedness. And speaking of being grounded, I do see that some people may have this feeling, this yearn, this desire to take a more holistic approach in terms of healing. For whatever reason, I do see people ditching the over-the-counter medicines. I do see people becoming their own doctors. I do see people again returning to this more holistic life. I do see people working more with herbs and again holistic medicines, tinctures, and things of that nature in order to help heal the physical body and to allow the spirit to flourish in said body. This sounds like a very specific message, but if you're someone who's been wanting to open up an apothecary, or if you're someone who has been wanting to study herbalism and becoming an herbalist, Spirit is saying that now is definitely the time for you to plant those seeds and to make a list of the things that you would need in order to be successful in that field. Moving forward, I want to take a moment to talk about Neptune being retrograde in the sign of Pisces, opposing the sun and the moon sitting in the sign of Virgo. Now with this transit at that time, I really do feel that there's going to be some miscommunications in terms of expressing the truth and people seeing said truth. I do feel that for some people who are in these relationships that make them feel good, if they're not careful, or if you're not careful, then you can find yourself lost in the clouds and ignoring or disregarding the truth because you're stuck in a space where it feels good. If you are someone who was trying to give a person a truth and you see that they are stuck, allow them to be where they're at, because it is not your job to save anybody. That is the message that is coming through, and it's very specific for a very specific person and or group of people. Some of you guys have this capacity and this ability to see the divine truth and deliver it in a way that is easily digestible for other people to understand. However, not everybody is going to, and Spirit is saying that that is simply okay. Now, for those who may be struggling with letting things go and letting things rest, I do highly recommend that you do what you need to do in your day-to-day life, keeping up with your spiritual hygiene in order to allow yourself the time, the space, and the capacity to release these things, release these emotional baggages that you may be carrying with you now. I also do see at the time of the new moon that for some people, secrets of the past may be revealed. And I also do feel that despite what is being revealed, that you will be knocked back into alignment. Some people have been in spaces where they were not as clear-headed, that they may have been lost in their thoughts, lost in delusions, lost in their emotions, lost in these places that make them feel good. And I do see that for some people, that those people will be reaching a space where they are starting to see the bigger picture. They're starting to understand and see the truth, and that truth is going to knock them back into alignment if they allow themselves to come to terms with the fact that they do indeed have a greater purpose. For some people, they may still be stuck and stagnant on the fact that their foundations were simply broken up, and they may have a very hard time with putting those pieces back together, especially if they're diving too deeply into logic. And I just want to say this real quick, that logic points to what makes sense. It does not always point to truth. And so I feel that at the time of the new moon, it is going to be very essential that you tap into your ability to be intuitive. I also can see that at the time of this new moon in Virgo, that a lot of people are going to start to really implement the necessary actions in order to help bring balance into their own lives. It's going to feel very intuitive. It's going to feel very obvious to some people, and I do feel that at that time that there are going to be some peaceful exits as it pertains to the relationships with other people and also parts of themselves, and even these habits or mindsets. And I feel that the reason why this is going to happen is because, again, Virgo is the sign that finds the problem and it does what it needs to do in order to fix it, in order to perfect it, to ensure that it is the best that it can possibly be. So this also means shutting out and clearing out space in order to help you thrive in your own life, whether it again be through exiting relationships and saying goodbye to people and habits and mindsets and other things that are taking up way too much space. Now, for whatever reason, Spirit is saying that if you find yourself in a situation where someone is making you feel that you need to choose between them and what's best for you, Spirit is letting you know that you need to prioritize your greater purpose. You need to prioritize your greatest visions, and you need to prioritize your spiritual, emotional, mental, physical health. If you continue to allow these people to guilt trip you, you will fall into the same unfortunate hands. You will fall back into the claws of suffering, and that is definitely not a life you want to live unless you just feel that you're not ready. But 10 times out of 10, I'm pretty confident that if you're listening to this podcast, you want the best for yourself, and I love that for you. Now, the last thing that I want to say about this new moon is that this is such a beautiful opportunity for all of us, because we are all falling under the same energy, to set intention for the best life that we possibly want to live. And I also do feel that at the time of this new moon, that it would be beneficial to again go back to those intentions that we set a few years ago, and to allow ourselves to become more excited as we really sit and digest and analyze and inspect these intentions to see, okay, what can I do to make this even better? Because I do feel that at this time, this Spirit is letting us know that what we believe that we see for ourselves, we can ask for more, because our minds can only fathom and download and process so much. Our brains can only process so much. And so Spirit is saying, think of the biggest blessing that you can possibly receive and then ask for more. You see what I'm saying? And I also do feel that at the time of this new moon, because again, we do have Jupiter in retrograde, is that we are allowing ourselves to tap into our ability to think big. I don't know if y'all remember this, but have y'all ever seen that meme? Not the meme, but I think it was like this video on Instagram where this guy was like, bitch, you think it's small. You need to be thinking big, bitch. Y'all remember that? That's the fucking vibe. That is the vibe, you guys. That is the vibe. And I think it's like that. I really do feel like it's like that because, again, Jupiter definitely is in retrograde. And I feel that this is definitely a time where we have to kind of go back and think about, okay, where was I limiting myself? Okay, this is where I was restricting. This is where I was limiting myself. And now I'm going to allow this to be a time in my life where I'm going to take that and I'm going to allow myself to expand. Because the more that I allow myself to open up and to expand, the more I tap into my desires, the more I can tap into my truth, and the better chances I have at living a wholesome, authentic, healthy, vibrant, loving, radiant life as I pace in alignment with my greatest truth. Now, I am receiving a download right now at 2:43 a.m. Wednesday, September 13th, that not to sell yourself short. and that fortune favors the bold. Those are two things that are coming through heavily right now. For some of you guys, you may feel like you are called to step out there and do the working, work the magic, work with your herbs, set your intentions, and all of those different elements. And some of you may be called to be more receptive and laid back and just kind of chill and just vibe with the new moon and just, again, dive into this element of receptivity. I do also feel like Spirit is reminding you and us, actually, Spirit is reminding us to prioritize, again, our spiritual hygiene, our spiritual health, to ensure that we are connected with our internal world, but also connected to the stars. And the last thing that I want to leave you with is that this is just definitely a fertile time to set your intentions, but to also, again, devote yourself, your time, your energy, your everything to something that you know is going to be worth it to you and then some. Because this is to infinity and beyond. This is to the stars, to the cosmos and beyond. And if we have this moment here on Earth, on our planet, then why not do the things that we love to do the most, and we leave our marks so that the world will know that we were here. Also, speaking of that, I do feel that some people may feel called to do more work as it pertains to the earth. I do see people working more earth magic, literally gardening, planting more seeds, planting more herbs, planting more foods, and homesteading. I do see people returning to homesteading and farming and agriculture. I do see people taking better care of the earth. These are all things that I am seeing at the time of the new moon, and I'm also seeing that taking care of the earth is going to become a part of a spiritual practice and or a part of a way of life and or a part of business, because everybody's going to win as long as we take care of earth. So I do see a lot of earth work being done, and honoring her and honoring Mother Gaia and giving her offerings and talking to trees and hugging trees, walking barefoot, and really getting to know the environment, getting to know the flowers, and getting to know the animals. I do see a lot more animal work. For some reason, I'm also seeing animal totems, people researching that. I don't know why, but I'm getting a vision of a bunny right now, specifically a white bunny. And now I'm seeing an anaconda, and I'm also seeing my cat walking in here from the living room, literally as I was talking about animal totems. What are the chances that Bruce decided to walk in here? Now, another message that's coming through right now is that some people may have been wanting to write a grimoire or start on their grimoire and work more in their book of shadows. For whatever reason, I'm hearing spirits say you may want to start on that. At least get the outline right. Make sure that you invest in some really good books that you know are going to be held in the hands of your family well beyond your years on earth. All in all, I do see a beautiful time where you can relax and indulge in some beautiful earth magic, even if it's just simply cooking a home cooked meal of potatoes, squash, and broccoli, and whatever else, if you're vegan or whatever you eat. I do see some really hefty home cooked meals, especially if it's raining and you're in a colder region. I do see you eating more stews during the time of the new moon and working with lots of herbs in those stews, if you know what I mean. So anyway, yeah, that is definitely what I'm seeing at the time of the new moon. And I just really want to say, as I close out, that I am super excited, elated, happy, and fulfilled at knowing the fact that you guys are still here with me, hanging on. And your presence is always appreciated here at Magic of Eden. I honor you, I respect you, I love you, and again, it is just such an honor to be sharing space on earth with you. And if you guys need anything from me at all, you guys can visit the online apothecary at magicofeden.com. You guys can also visit me on Instagram and journey along with me there at Magic of Eden. You guys are more than welcome to dive into the shadow side by following Shadows X Magic. Also, I want to let you guys know that moving forward, I actually am going to be sharing a lot more poetry. I've got some projects under the works right now. I'm still a full-time mother. I homeschool. I do all of those amazing things. I cook, I clean, I bathe. I do it all. What is it called? A momtrepreneur or something like that? I don't know. All I know is that I'm doing it. It's getting done somehow. But anyways, the time we have shared has been amazing, and I cannot wait until we meet again. To the stars and beyond, my friends. I'll catch you in the next podcast episode.